Hi, everybody. My name is Branden Sewell. I am the owner of Seal Pro Painting located in Central Florida, and I am also the host of the Off the Ladder podcast. And we exist to help home service business owners learn so that they can lead well and ultimately live life off of the ladder. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode. This is going to be a solo episode, so no guest today. However, I want to talk about a topic that I'm pretty passionate about. We are bringing this year to a close. We just got a few weeks left, and before we know it, we are going to be celebrating New Year's and 2025. Now, as business owners and entrepreneurs, what does that look like for us? What does that mean? I know what it means for me, and I've had this practice well before I was even a entrepreneur or business owner. Every year, at the end of the year, I do some type of planning and reflection on the year that has passed. I think about things that have gone well. I think about things that have not gone well. And then I reflect on the goals that I set and whether I achieved those or fell short. And if I fell short, why? And what I can do in 2025 or the coming year to uh, better myself and to grow. And so just constantly having that growth mindset. And I found that the easiest way to go about this is to kind of break life up into, different areas. So we have, our spiritual life, our faith, what does that look like? Our marriage, if we're married, or maybe if you're not married, are you in a relationship? Or, if you're single, what are you doing to prepare yourself to be ready for a relationship? What does that look like? Um, and then if you're a parent, what does your year look like as a person who is raising children and stewarding them well? And then finances. What do your business and personal finances look like for the year? And what are you doing to reach your goals there? And then there's your physical, and this can kind of be broken up into a couple of different areas. Your mental health, your physical health, and we kind of covered the spiritual in the first one, but just having a healthy mind, soul, and body. So those areas of our lives are really the key areas that we want to focus on and we want to reflect on and then have a plan for how we're going to grow in each one of those areas. So, as I come to the end of this year and I reflect on this past year, there's definitely in my spiritual walk, I've had some victories this year. And I've had some areas where I wish I would have done better. And for me personally, one thing that was a win for me was, the church that I was a part of previously closed. And my wife and I were on a journey to find a new church. We found a new church in February. We now consider this church our home church. And we're, if you've listened to my podcast before, maybe you know that I have a background in, I once worked in full time vocational ministry. Um, and I was a youth director and among many other things. But I wasn't really involved too heavily from like a serving and leadership aspect for a little while. And a big win for me was healing from some past hurts and then getting back into to that serving and being a leader and leading others in that area. So that was a big win for me. Where I kind of fell short is once my daughter was born, some of my disciplines of like waking up early, reading my word, devotionals, and all of that, that routine got kind of thrown off. Now I will say I've been getting back into that routine, waking up at 4 a.m., reading, um, and then getting into the gym. And so that's that routine for me. That's that spiritual discipline that I like to have. So going into 2025, that's going to be my focus is like, okay, I need to stay consistent, waking up at 4 a.m., reading the word, praying, and then going to the gym. That's my routine. So that's going to be a goal for me in this coming year to stay consistent with. Um, so, and then, when we look at marriage, um, marriage is extremely important to me. So, I actually thought about having my wife on this episode, but just between um, later work schedules today and trying to get the kids down and things like that, that didn't work out. So I'm actually recording this episode and it'll go live tomorrow. So, but I was going to have my wife on here to talk about marriage, but um, as far as marriage goes, one thing that's been challenging for my wife and I, and, we have a great relationship, great marriage, thriving marriage, but there's one area that we've really been trying to focus on more, which is dates. I think one of the best things you can do for your marriage and to keep that fire and that passion and spark alive is to date your spouse. And so for us that's a little challenging because one, we have no family where we live, so it's just us, and we have two little kids and we don't trust anybody with them. And I'm more like that person. I don't know. I'm a it's hard for me to trust other people with our kids. We just live in a crazy world. Um, and yeah, so I'm not just super willing to just, hand my kids over to just anybody. Um, and the hardest thing about that is like you hear stories of like, with kids and just terrible situations of abuse and of many forms. And sometimes what's crazy is that you'll have these parents who like trust their kids with like family members or close friends that they trust, and it's like these people that you think they're safe with and then they're not. So unfortunately, that's a struggle for me, to just be like, hey, here, take my kid so we can have a date night. So that's a challenge. But I definitely would say that in this coming year, in 2025, we want to do better with that. And one thing that we realize is that, we just had a date night a couple weeks ago where we bought this adventure challenge book. It's like you've probably heard of it or seen it, where it just gives you like these fun date ideas and you do them. And they have some of them in this book where it says like you don't have to have a babysitter for this date. So what we did is we did one of those. So we got the kids down to bed and then we did this fun date night. And if you follow me on social media, you can see a video I made about that. But anyway, my goal in 2025 is to date my wife more and, just keep our relationship a top priority. And so that then we move into, parenting. Um, I don't want to say that Sammy and I are necessarily like the best parents in the world, but I'm very proud of the parents that we've been. I'm very proud of our kids, and Emmett, our 4 year old. I'm very proud of him. Like, just um, he's such a great kid. He's got such a kind heart, and he's always so willing to like help and um, for the most part, we don't have any issues with him at school and with his friends and things. We get a lot of great feedback about him and his behavior, and those are all things that we're really proud of. I would say, though, in my area of parenting, something that I want to focus on in 2025 is being more intentional about putting my phone down and focusing on just my son. Like, um, when you have a business, you have a podcast, you have social media that generates income for you. It can be challenging to like put that down and be like, okay, it's time to turn that off. Um, and so definitely in 2025, that's going to be a huge priority for me. um some things that I think we've done well and I want to continue doing is like we read a lot with our son. So like read with him before he goes to bed, we read books. So I definitely want to stay consistent with that. And then praying with him, so praying before he goes to bed, and really helping him like understand those spiritual disciplines of like reading the word, praying. Um, but yeah, just keeping some of those disciplines good with him, and really just being intentional about helping him to, um, I don't want to say, like just help him to open up his perspective of who God is and who Jesus is, and that'll be a focus for us in 2025 as far as parenting goes. And then we move into just like health. Um, I had already kind of hit on this, but waking up early, going to the gym, that's going to be a big focus in 2025. Before my daughter was born, I was super consistent for a few years. Um, and just, when you have a baby, it just throws your routines off. And I'm a very routine driven person. So I thrive in routine. And when I get like taken out of my routine, it's really hard for me to thrive. So I really do like that's why I like going to the gym early, because it's like I don't have any distractions. I can go. It's less likely that things are going to distract me or pull me away, because so few people are up at 4 in the morning, or 5. So that's a lot easier for me to stay consistent with, is that early morning routine. Um, but yeah, stay consistent with that. Eat better. I was in the gym for, and stayed consistent, like I said, for a few years, and I definitely, was in better shape, cardio wise. I was definitely feeling stronger. Cut a little bit of weight, but not as much as I would like to. So in 2025, I would like to see myself lose some weight, get a little bit more toned and things like that. So that'll be um, a focus there. Something that I would like to do in 2025 is I'm a big supporter of like mental health, and really taking the time to I guess self reflect and be introspective, and really look at your mental state of being and make sure that you're healthy mentally. Because, like, even for an entrepreneur, it's very easy to get secluded, to feel anxious or overwhelmed by like the responsibility and things like that. So I think mental health is really important for entrepreneurs, and to make that a focus. And um, one thing that I'd really like to do is start doing like therapy sessions. Not because I feel like there's something like terribly wrong with me, but just because I think that that would just be a healthy practice. So someone who can help me to evaluate maybe why I do things the way I do. What are some limiting beliefs that I might have, and where do they come from, and how do I address them, and how do I move forward and grow? And I think that doing something like therapy would help me to work through some of that to really grow. So that'll be a focus. So we got physical health, mental health. Obviously, we kind of covered spiritual health in the first point. But those are all going to be areas that I focus on in 2025. And, so yeah, all that to say is like, if you don't have a discipline of looking at your life holistically in all those different areas, and having um the ability to reflect and then create goals, and then come up with a strategy for attacking those goals, well then you're not growing. And I just think that that's so key in life, is to just have that. Actually, right here beside me, I didn't really plan on sharing this, but it's just sitting here on my desk. But like, I created this strategic plan for 2025 for my business. And that I cover things like, just like a summary of like what I want to do, a strategic marketing plan for the year, a strategic plan for sales and development, efficiency in our production, improving our customer experience, increasing our net profits and profit margins, healthy growth strategies, um, and then just kind of like a conclusion on all of that. So, just yeah, have a plan, write it down. Every year, for my business, I'll put, okay, this is my goal for revenue and how much I want to do this year. This is how much I want to make personally. And for me to hit those goals, what does that look like? Day by day, week by week, month by month, um, and really break it down. How many leads do we have to bring in? From those leads that we get, how many do we have to convert at this average ticket price? And how many jobs do we have to sell? And really just breaking that down. Excuse me. And have a plan, and then throughout the year, constantly reflect on that goal and that plan. So actually, through the year in my office, I've got a whiteboard, and every month I write down like, what was our goal, and did we hit it, or were we short, and what do we have to make up, and in order to make this up, how many leads do we need to bring in if we're converting at this rate, and what does that need to be as far as sales. And so having that discipline of really looking at that, and then strategically going after that. And I think if you implement some of those practices, it'll help you to achieve your goals. And I'd say it's pretty rare that there's not like a handful of my goals that I end up hitting, because I'm intentional about reflecting, and then creating my goals, and then having a plan to achieve those goals. So whether it's for yourself personally or for your business, definitely do that. Um, some of the things that I want to focus, I talked about kind of my personal life and like what those goals are, and what I want to do better in 2025. So let's kind of talk about the business now. So like for the business, I've struggled to break the $1 million revenue mark. Now, what I will say is, just from listening to a lot of other very successful business owners, also from my own experience, like it really is true that revenue is for vanity, and profits are for sanity. I think that's how Tommy Mello says that, and obviously he's very successful, and I respect him. But I think it's still good to have a goal. So like, my goal is to hit 1 million in annual revenue by the end of next year. and while maintaining a healthy net profit of 15 to 20%. Um, we want to work on our marketing plan. So we would like to focus on our branding. We'd like to, wrap our vehicles and get ourselves more brand recognition and some other different strategies there, like doing more yard signs around the community and maybe doing bus stop signs and things like that. Um, we want to improve upon our digital marketing plan, which a lot of what we do on digital marketing is not like PPC or SEO. Like I do SEO myself. Um, and, I found that one of our most successful strategies as far as marketing has been our Google My Business page. So I put a lot of effort into that and keeping that updated and, getting a lot of reviews and ranking high organically. And that's really been a win for us. Um, we also we'll definitely focus more on well, I shouldn't say more, but we'll work to increase our partnerships in our community in 2025 through networking and building relationships and really making that a key strategy. We'd also like to do more community engagement in 2025. So, whether that's sponsoring local events or being involved in other local events, vendor tables, things like that, really build our presence in the community more. We're also going to start doing home shows again because I haven't done any since 2020. So, we're going to get back into those. So that's marketing, a little bit of that there. Sales, we want to increase our sales. Obviously, that's the only way we're going to reach that goal of 1 million. But we also want to improve upon like our training strategy with our sales and growing our sales team. I just hired on a new sales rep, so I'm not the only one selling. But I'd really like to work on coming up with a way to constantly be training and growing in our sales approach. Um, and so yeah, that's that. Production, obviously, if have followed me or you've kind of seen where we're at with our business, we just recently moved from like we've had our business in just a small office for 3 years, and we just moved into a more of like a warehouse space, so we have a lot more room. So we have a lot of different strategies that we're going to implement as far as production goes there. Like one of the things we're going to do to help increase efficiency is try to keep our guys out of Sherwin-Williams stores. That can be like a real time suck, where they go to the store and now they're sitting around waiting for other contractors to get their material. They're waiting in lines, they're chatting, they're talking to the rep or the associates in the store, and just wasting a lot of time. So what we're going to do is we're really going to focus on making the warehouse efficient, of like staging all of our orders there, stocking all of the sundries that we usually use and any tools and things like that we always need. We're going to just keep that stocked so the guys can go to the warehouse, get their orders, get any materials and things that they need, and be on their way. So I'm really going to be looking to increase our efficiency there. Um, where we're also going to look at ways to increase our efficiency on jobs. Now that we have the warehouse, I'm going to be looking at trying to do some type of continual training and continual education where we can the whole team, all of our different crews, can be improving upon their skills and reflecting on what's working and what's not, and what could be faster and what's slowing us down, and really just work to be better in that sense. And I think another key part of that will be like when we onboard people, Instead of, I really don't like the idea of training, like just taking somebody green or somebody who doesn't have a lot of experience and throwing them into the field to work, because it slows down all of your production. You're trying to teach somebody on somebody's home or business, and I just don't feel like that's the place where they should be necessarily, like, you know, breaking the ice or like getting started. I'd like to have our facility set up to where we can do trainings and train guys for, let's say 2 weeks, before they ever step foot on a job. And it's just basic stuff, just the basic things that you would need to know about going to a job instead of just showing up and with no knowledge or experience. So at least having some type of training program for that. That would happen at the shop. um, Also want to do like more focus on safety for our production, and improve that in 2025. Um, so that's production, customer experience. Um, I think that us as a business, that's one of our strengths is customer service and our customer experience. But obviously, we can constantly be improving on that. And I think one of the areas that we can improve on is our process for two things. One, getting customers paint selections. That in the painting world, that's always a pain. But if you can have a better process for getting that and having the customers understand what they're getting and understand what they need for their job, and then making sure that information is translated clearly to our guys. And then second, I would say, on top of the material side of the jobs is going to be like the scheduling. So scheduling can be a very tricky thing in Florida with weather and things like that. But really just trying to approach that in a better way so that there's less problems that arise from having to reschedule jobs and everything. That'll be something we'll try to get better at. So yeah, that's pretty much, everything in a nutshell. Just really focusing on every area of our business being healthier and having a plan and a goal there. So you don't have to be perfect at this, but I can tell you what, even just taking little steps to just write down what your plans are, write down what your goals are, um, is going to make a huge difference in how you operate as a business owner and as a business in just in the totality of that. Um, so a couple other things that I'll add to this is, um, really we're talking about personal development and goals and having a strategy. I think another thing that's really important for just business owners, entrepreneurs, just anyone who's looking to be successful or grow in life is have a healthy diet of books. Make sure you're reading. Now, obviously, we live in a time where there's audiobooks and things like that. So maybe that doesn't mean you're sitting down and, reading a book every day, but, listen to audiobooks. Make a conscious decision that, hey, like when I drive from this job to the other, instead of turning on the radio, I'm going to listen to an audiobook. Or, instead of turning on that YouTube video, I'm going to read a book. Instead of watching this Netflix series, I'm going to read a book. Listen to podcasts, invest in yourself. I mean, a fun fact about me is I don't watch any type of like TV shows or anything like that because I feel like they're a time suck, and just, in my personal opinion, just a waste of time, a bad way to spend time. I'd much rather be doing something to um, better myself, whether that is reading a book or listening to a podcast or watching something educational on YouTube on growing my business or whatever, being a better parent. Um, and then the other thing that I would say is, or doing something physical, like going outside. Like I love surfing, so I'd rather go surf than be inside watching TV. I'd rather be outside playing with my son than inside watching TV. And same for him. I'd rather him be outside playing than watching TV or stuck in front of a screen. I'd rather go fishing on a Saturday than sit at home or be in front of a screen. I want to be active. I want to be outdoors. I want to be doing something to invest in myself. And I just feel like if you get tied into these addictive TV shows and whatever, these series, it can absolutely just suck away so much time. And um, I one of the things that I'm very proud to say is like I've never watched an entire I think you would say episode, or no, not episode, an entire season of a TV show. Um I just I've never had that desire to do that. So anyway, I don't play video games either. So like I've never really enjoyed video games or like them. I also I mean, if you like video games, I'm sorry, but I just, especially if you're like an adult, and this is probably gonna like make people mad, but I just feel like video games are dumb. Like, if you're a kid and you play video games until you're like, I don't know, 15, 16 years old, like, okay, cool, that's whatever. But once you hit like this age of like 16, or like you can work and you can have a job, like, I just feel like video games can be. I've seen so many people who get into video games, and it's like it's a time suck. It's also very addicting, and like I've heard of people losing their jobs over video games. Like they play all night and then they're constantly late for work, or they don't show up and they lose jobs. It's like, come on, like that's just, anyway, it's crazy. So anyway, I think that's those things are, you know um they're not bringing value to my life, right? At least I don't think so. So anyway, all that to say is just like do things that are going to help you to grow, help you to learn, help you to get better, and to achieve your goals and things that you have in life and business. So, um, reflect on what your habits are, um, and try to be better. Um, there's a lot of things in my life that I've decided to do, and like as far as habits go, that I feel like have really served me really well. Like I don't drink and party. Like, I'm not out wasting my time, drinking or partying. That can be a real time suck and financially burdensome. So if you want to ask me, like, what are some of the things that I think have made me successful, that would be another one. Like, I don't drink, don't party, don't go out. Like, I'd much rather spend time with my family and friends, and just have good, clean fun. I don't need to like drink or party to have fun. So, um, I think that that's a big thing. But yeah, being intentional about those things is important for success and growth. And um, I would encourage you to maybe contemplate those um, habits in your life and think of how you can be more successful in 2025. So, I'm kind of rambling on at this point. I feel I'm also kind of tired. Like I said, I've been back on my routine of waking up at 4 a.m. and I'm telling you, it's tough. Usually around like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, I'm like, whew, I'm tired. Um, could use a nap. So anyway, I hope that this episode is valuable to you, and I hope that it helps you to maybe think of how you're going to go into 2025, and maybe think of changing some of your habits as a person and as a business owner. And just remember the goal is not to try and be like better than anybody, but the goal is to be better than who you were yesterday. And only you know the truth of that, like only you know, like, okay, am I better than I was yesterday? Am I really trying to be better? And if you're trying, that's great. If you're not trying and you're just kind of wasting your time and your energy on things that are not making you better, well, then you are not trying to grow. You're not trying to better yourself. You're just kind of existing, going through the motions, and not improving. And I'll say this. I've I've in the past, I've received some hate for like my thought process on growing and like becoming better. And something that I've never understood is why people would like criticize you for wanting them to be better, right? So like maybe saying like helping somebody to make better decisions or to grow. Like if I feel like if somebody wants you to stay where you're at and doesn't challenge you to grow, I just don't see that as being very loving or caring. But it's funny how people can respond to like that challenge to grow and maybe some constructive criticism as like hate. And it's like, I'm not hating on you. It's like, I want you to get better. I want you to grow. I want you to like to better yourself. And unfortunately, like even this episode will probably offend some people. You might get offended by some of the things that I say, or but the reality is like we can always get better, and we can always change things in our lives. None of us are ever going to arrive and be perfect on this side of heaven, but we sure can strive to be better every day. And that's my goal. My goal is to just always strive to be better, to improve, to be a better version of myself. And I don't always do that well. I don't always succeed. Like I said, the last, goodness, 7 months, 8 months, I've really struggled with my fitness, like and waking up early, being disciplined with that. So, you're not going to be perfect. You're going to fluctuate in your disciplines, but what is your perspective? Are you constantly trying to get better, or are you just coasting along and just letting life happen to you instead of looking at it despite circumstances, failures, setbacks, and saying, hey, I'm not going to let life happen to me. I'm going to get out there and I'm going to constantly be reflecting, setting goals, improving, and getting better. And I think as long as you have that mindset, that growth mindset, you'll be successful. And there's a book I read. It is called, I think it's called The Power of Half an Hour, or maybe it's The Happiness Advantage. Just looking on my bookshelf, I think it might be The Happiness Advantage, but I think it has a part in the end of it where the author talks about how it's, life is 10% what happens to you, 90% how you respond to it. So 2024 might have been challenging, might have had some failures, some setbacks, may not have hit some goals. You might have had some things work against you, but are you going to let it happen to you? Or are you going to look at it and say, okay, 10% of what happened to me this year is going to make a difference in my future. 90% is how I respond to it. Do I let it push me down and hold me back? Or do I find a way to overcome and move forward and get better? And that's, I think if you can't be defeated if you have that mindset. If you have a mindset that no matter what happens, everything's going to be okay. I'm going to grow. I'm going to learn. You can't really lose. You can fail, but it's not going to be final. And you can get knocked down, but you're not going to stay down. You'll keep getting up. So anyway, I'm excited for 2025. I have some big goals in 2025, and I'm going to be fighting hard and working towards making those goals a reality. And I hope that you are doing the same thing. I hope that 2024 was a blessing, but I hope that 2025 is even greater. I hope that all the goals, the ambition, the dreams that you have for the future are set into motion. And that starts now with your goals, your planning, and reflecting on what was and determining what will be in the coming year. So be bold, be brave, take risks, set yourself out there, you know, don't hold back. Um, do the things that you're thinking of, do them afraid, do them with uncertainty, but take action on whatever your goals are. It's going to be scary. Um, Failures are going to come, but just keep moving forward. So, anyway, thank you so much for listening to the Off the Ladder podcast. If you're listening to this on YouTube, please like, comment, subscribe, share your feedback, share it with somebody else. If you are listening on any major podcast platform, especially Apple, if you're listening on Apple, please rate and review the show and share it with somebody else. And if you're listening on Spotify, same thing, rate, review, share it. And I really appreciate that. Also, if you're someone who listens to this podcast regularly, please reach out. Let me know who you are. I would love to know who is listening to this podcast. Maybe share with me what you're learning from it. What's been your favorite episode, or what do you want to see more of? Um, Feedback, good and bad. I'd love to connect with you. You can do that on my Instagram page, Branden Sewell. You can reach out to me on Facebook, send me an email at info@brandensewell.com. Either way, I'd love to connect with my listeners. That would be such a pleasure for me. So anyway, thank you so much for tuning into this episode, and I will see you next time on the next episode of the Off the Ladder podcast.